to the news bulletin of the Weekly Chronicles. Number 1. The National Investigation Agency NIA has taken over the probe involving Jammu and Kashmir Police Deputy Superintendent Davinder Singh, who was caught with two terrorists on January 10. We must hope a fair trial and clear investigation into the matter so that the real culprit behind doesn't go unpunished along with him. Atmosphere of intolerance may not be good for science, says Nobel laureate Venkataraman Ramakrishnan. In the continuous blame game meted out to BJP, time and again it has been blamed for rising intolerance in the nation. Number 3, according to the Telegraph on jobs, India is behind Pakistan, Bangladesh, even Afghanistan. Over 40% of the Indians aged between 20 and 34 were not in education, employment or training for period between 2010 and 2018. Now, it's time for the international bulletin. Number 1, in rare Friday sermon, Iran's Khamenei says US suffered blow to superpower image. His statement comes after series of tussle over Iranian general death and missile attack to avenge it on American military bases in Iraq. Number 2, in an unprecedented rise of tension across the various ranges of the globe, just days after the Turkey vowed to teach a lesson to Libya's strongman General Haftar, Greece, still at odds with Ankara, told him that it could send some forces tasked with observing a truce and removal of mercenaries. This much for now in news bulletin. Let's go for the second part of the detailed news. Today we are going to view a point of view in today's detail about various protests and protest-related analysis. Those students protest of JP led strong opposition to the emergency during Mrs. Indira Gandhi-led government. The recent movement, Anna movement, led strong opposition to corruption that was taking place under UPA too. This movement was also the very reason why Congress-led coalition lost massively and BJP-led NDA won the 2014 general election. This movement also so badly tarnished the image of the Congress that it is also not able to rebuild its damaged image even after a series of local and general elections. The recent protest against Citizenship Amendment Act is the fresh upheaval that India witnessed. Millions came out to protest this act, which discriminates Muslims on the basis of their religion, and many other refugees on various humanitarian grounds. People of various walks of life protested against it. Some protest was peaceful, some turned out to be violent. Wherever violence took place, causes of this must be looked with seriousness. Some video footage showed that protesters were creating problems. Violence is the tools of the cowards. It is a tool used by powerful to suppress the weak. We should not forget that. Sometimes violence breaks due to miscalculations of protesters. They think they can achieve by violent demonstrations what they ought to gain. But they forget that it becomes the main tool and justifying reason for government or police to use force, and also in cases just to satisfy the political boss of game. Illustrations to prove government's motive to spark violence is by best understood by the supposing they gain to maintain law and order by stressing through use of force of any magnitude as seen as a disproportionate useful brute force in Jamia University, Aligarh Muslim University, JNU, etc. and etc. The list doesn't stop here. Rather, we cannot deny the very fact of one long-time sparkling flame that BJP got for its political agenda to keep burning the issues of NRC and CA division between. Also, the most interesting part of the protest was seen when Uttar Pradesh government is trying to collect these economic damages ransom from those responsible of its arson. This could be a new idea for the government that can be used in future to keep protests going violent in a very wide ways, yes. But Some footage showing police arson damages private and as well as public property are going around in social media. We will be responsible and take sincere responsibility to collect it from those responsible state police. There's a big question. Can our judiciary be responsible enough to balance this unbalanced force of justice? Can our governments and stakeholders be more justifiable so that public idea of natural justice be upheld? Does the general population be able to think wisely that injustice anywhere means a threat to justice everywhere? I am Kiran Rai for the Weekly Chronicles. Thank you.